Brian, President Trump has paused military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Last week, you were a bit more upbeat on the Ukraine situation than I was. What are your thoughts today?
I'm extremely disappointed in those moves of Ukraine to shut off intelligence, extremely disappointed to shut off satellite transmission. I know personally they paid a price for this. It was unnecessary. Ukraine's already sending a delegation to Saudi Arabia. The minerals deal is all ready for a pen, ready for a signature. We got it. I mean, put all the pressure on Russia. Let them get to the table, and I think we're going to see how insincere they are. So I think he's worsening Ukraine's position before the talks, and I find it ridiculous, without logic. And he says he says the intelligence is basically restored, he said yesterday. Well, he should go tell the Ukrainians that because they're not getting that. So I love that Europe is spending now on military. At least they're talking about it. This new German leader, he's got to get form a government, but he's going to get it. He's talking about, we got to get our own nuclear program together. Good. They're talking about massive loans to get a European Union army together. I love it. I mean, we don't need, we can't keep urging them to spend. They looked at their defense program like we look at our space program. I like it, but I don't really need it. Now they had to go, we need it. And also France is making the move to spend the interest on the Russian investments that have been frozen. I love it. I mean, they were like, should we do it? Should we not do it? Now we got to do it. So I like that. But we've gone too far. The Ukrainians fight like warriors. They're the victims here. They've done nothing wrong. People have pointed out that oligarchs have houses in Morocco. If we go to war, we will still have rich people with houses in Morocco and other exotic places, maybe even in their own islands. That doesn't mean that we're a bad country. Just because of World War I and World War II, we still had Andrew Carnegie and J.P. Morgan. They didn't bankrupt themselves because America needed money. So I don't even understand that argument. I'm befuddled by it. I'm befuddled. I'm glad they're going to the table this week. I love that Rubio Waltz are going to be there together. And I just want to see when the Russians sit down. And when the Russians sit down, they've already said, and I asked Mike Waltz this on the Sunday show, Lavrov said it's a non-starter to have European troops in Ukraine. Well, it's a non-starter to have a ceasefire without European troops in Ukraine because they're going to do the same thing in 5 years again. Only they're going to be rearmed by China and Iran and what other renegade country wants to join that axis of evil, and it's going to be worse. So that's when all the pressure is going to be on Russia, and then you're going to call me up on a Monday and you're going to say, what's with Russia? They're not even dealing. Yeah, that's the truth because Vladimir Putin can't be trusted. He is the villain of our times.
Now, Brian, we've seen the president getting ready to impose tariffs, pull them back with Canada and Mexico, back on, back off again. What's happening here? Are these deals that we are not seeing being talked about? Is this just his whim? Is it reaction to pushback? What's happening?
Well, I mean, I thought Sean Fain over the weekend, obviously a critic of all Republicans, he said what Trump's trying to do is reconfigure what happened in the 1980s that Ross Perot telegraphed when he was up against Al Gore and George W. Bush and George H.W. Bush. He said there'd be a giant, George W. Bush. There'd be a giant sucking sound during the Clinton years, whatever. When he screwed up the election with George H.W. Bush, he was running for re-election. So those years. He said, this NAFTA thing is the worst thing that ever happened to our country. There'll be a giant sucking sound. We're going to lose all those jobs. And Al Gore says, we talked to 5 Nobel laureates, and we talked to all these experts. It'll provide 2 million jobs for America annually. Well, Ross Perot was 100% right. Sean Fain said, since that time, we've lost manufacturing in our country, which has led to losing security, highlighted by the pandemic. He's saying what Trump's trying to do, and he's like, I'm not a Trump fan, is he's trying to bring those jobs back. But in business, you got to make a profit. You got shareholders. See, he's got to make it no choice. They got to bring it back. And he's got to make the incentives so great that they got to come back. He's like, you'll pay 15% corporate tax if you get here. You don't pay any tariffs if you just build here. And Honda's responded. A Taiwanese company whose name eludes me has responded. They have there's like 5 major companies that Trump, unrelated to Sean Fain's comments, I've already decided to come back. So that's why he's disrupting the economy. He's also trying to stop being we don't want to be an economy that just has a bigger federal workforce. So 2.7 million is going to shrink. So that's going to be painful. So that's what Trump's trying to say. I don't like the erratic nature of Canada and Mexico. Up one, down one, up one, down one. But, I watched Kevin Hassett over the weekend. Kevin Hassett said this is drug-related, and that's laudable. And there's a lot more drugs coming through the north than they let on. They keep on saying 45 pounds. I think it's a lot more. I talked to a documentarian on Friday on the radio show, or Thursday, I forgot which day it was, and he said Canada, it's got huge plants, and they know about it, and they're not cracking down on it. So Trump should make that clear. But Mexico is doing the job, and they got rewarded for it. And I just would say to the president, just leave them on course, monitor them, and just release the tariff threat. It's what corporate America would like. The market did not bounce back when he pushed back the deadline because they seem to be getting tired of it. And I think that would get the president to possibly stop being a little bit more steady in his offers. Also, I think they missed Larry Kudlow in there. Larry Kudlow knew how to talk Trump. And they would have a circle of economic advisors, and Trump would do the same thing he did, but he did it much more organized. They don't seem to be organized right now. Howard Lutnick just got in there. They got a Treasury Secretary who's been there only 2 weeks. The president's got his trade rep is not even confirmed yet. So I think that we're looking at that right now.
So, Brian, the Trump administration has pulled $400 million of federal money from Colombia after anti-Israel protests. You talked about this with Congressman Michael Lawler on One Nation. What do you think about what the administration's doing here?
Love it. I could not be happier. They arrested this leader who came here on a student visa in Colombia, went to graduate school, and now is leading all these insurgencies, all this chaos. And they found him. He's in every still picture of a riot in around Columbia and Barnard and NYU, and they're throwing him out. And he's got lawyered up. Where he gets money for a lawyer as a student, I'm not sure. But he's got a high-profile lawyer to keep him here. But rattling Colombia to its core, rattling them to death. Senator Schumer should be sitting right by the president saying, high five, thank you. We get nothing from the highest-ranking Jewish political figure ever in American history, ever. And he was minority, majority, whatever. He has no interest in it. And this should be his number one thing. This is anti-Semitic. This is not, well, wait a second, I'm really concerned about the Palestinian people. Then go there. Go there. See how it goes. And by the way, queers for Palestinians, just know they hate gay people. They throw you off roofs. You just get to pick the building you fall off of. So go. If you love it so much, go there. And if you want to deny October 7th, I'm sickened by you. And I'm embarrassed to be in New York City. And now I love that they're hitting back. It was Speaker Johnson that went to Colombia and warned them. It was Elise Stefanik that skewered them and exposed them. And now it's President Trump that's making them pay the price. Marco Rubio also leading the charge there. This is just the first of many, I hope.
All right, so Brian, what do you have coming up on the show today?
I'm going to talk about Ukraine extensively. I don't get it. I'm going to talk about what's happening also with Gaza. We might be getting our only alive living American out of there. That's interesting. Internationally, Iran has laughed at the president's letter saying you could do it my way, which is we could get rid of your nuclear program, or another way, and they laughed at the threat. Good luck with that. Josh Rogan's going to be on. Senator Tom Cotton's going to be with us, Michael Goodwin, Jeremy Hunt. So I'll talk about those things. Also, the Doge fight really happened in the Oval Office. I have no problem with it in the White House. That's what happens. When you get high-ranking, strong people who are very confident, they're going to be clashing. Trump, let it play out. Listen to it. Listen to him go at it with Sean Duffy. Listen to him go at it with Marco Rubio and some others. And they said, okay, cabinet secretaries control personnel. Every 2 weeks you have to check in with the Doge person. If you are not cutting back the workforce your way, then we will. I love it. That's called leadership. People are saying this is a big problem. It's called life. I mean, everybody listening to me right now goes into an organization, and there's quiet strife where people have insurgencies, and there's one's healthy companies where they air it out, and they walk out of that room a better company. I love it. And every successful administration has clashes. Pick out anyone, even unsuccessful, anyone. Secretary of State doesn't like the Secretary of Defense. They don't like the Commerce, doesn't get along with Treasury. The President doesn't feel like he had picked. All this stuff happens. It's called life. Why should the White House be any different? I'm going to talk about that.
All right, Brian, thanks for talking with us today.
You got it.